All right, can everybody see this? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, all right. All right, so we are here today to talk about visible body flashcards and how you can use them as a courseware instructor to help keep your students engaged. And I think you'll notice we call these visible body flashcards or 3D flashcards because they're not your typical flashcards where you write in the front, flip on the back, and trying to memorize something there. They're really much more than that, and that's what we'd like to spend the first half of this presentation on, just showing you examples of ways to use what we call a flashcard just in a more in-depth way. So I'm going to handle the first part, which is just showing you different types of flashcards, and then Jen will handle the second part, which would be as a courseware instructor, how do you get these flashcards to students? How do you make assignments with them? What can you do with them, right? So usually people start a presentation out with some kind of PowerPoint or maybe a Google slide, but this is actually a flashcard that you're looking at right here. We are inside, just to orient everybody, we are inside of Human Anatomy Atlas 2022 Plus, the app with the black icon. That is the app that has flashcards in it. In the web version here, you can also be in the the mobile version on a tablet or a phone as well. So this is a flashcard. We say flip to the back for some ideas. All I do is tap on this. Here we go. So in a second, I'm going to show you, I don't know how many flashcards I have, maybe 15 or 20 examples to go through, but we sort of organized them into different categories. We thought maybe some could be a pre-lab. Your students are about to learn a topic they've never heard about before, and this is just be very introductory stuff. This would be more like what you would expect a regular old flashcard to be. Kind of simple, only asking one or two things, keeping it straightforward, not getting too deep. Our second bullet here is, this is an important one. This is, these flashcards can't teach the course for you or teach the topic for you, but they can help reinforce it. And students can use a feature called Explore in 3D, which will let them sort of peel the 2D. It's a strange concept, but you can peel the 2D layer off and dive into the 3D part and explore the app and the related content. We think that's very powerful. Then we thought maybe a post-lab activity. You've taught them something, they've learned something, and it's sort of a refresher. It's a more in-depth version of the pre-lab. And then we thought some could be homework, and these would be more of activities. I think this is where you'll see some creativity in these flashcards. It's asking them to do something that you wouldn't typically think a flashcard could do. And then the fifth one down there is collaborative work or jigsaw. When we made this flashcard feature, we heard from a lot of people. And we asked them what their pain points were, and one of them was, well, I need to find the resources myself to make the flashcard. Another person said, well, sometimes there's a lot, and I like to share in a study group with other people. So we made sure when we made this feature that the work was splittable. Someone could say, there are 50 things to learn, I'll take 25, you take 25, and then let's assemble it after. So I think Jen's going to talk a bit about that towards the end. All right, so that was the intro. So let's get into some flashcards here. What I need to do is I'll go back to my menu. I'm in, just to orient everybody again, I'm in this study section. I'm in flashcards. This webinar is not about how to make a flashcard. We have another one on how to make one. This is more about, how do I make a cool flashcard, or how do I make an interesting flashcard? So we are going to start with some of these pre-lab ones, and these are going to be just very basic, right? We figured this would be an example of maybe you're about to teach the skeletal system, right? It's one of the first couple of weeks of class, and you're in here, and your students don't know much of anything. So the technique used was that we used the selection tool in the 3D view to highlight a section of the skull, right? And then we have some prompts on the front asking some questions, and then you flip it to the back, and you can see we've pre-labeled these for them. So you're really feeding the students just some introductory information. You imagine they spend a couple minutes on this, and that's it, right? And then if I go back, there's another skeletal one kind of similar, right? Again, you can imagine you're on your first day of skeletal system, and you're trying to learn about, what are the two different major parts, and you have, right, can you name the two groups, which one's in blue? Again, we use the selection tool to get this big selection. And this wasn't picked one at a time. There's a breadcrumb trail or a hierarchy you can use to get these bigger selections. I didn't go through here, pick every bone and highlight it blue. There's an easy way to do that. Same thing, you flip it over, get the answer. This is an example of a pre-lab. Here we go. This is digestive system, has a few more parts, but very similar, right? Identify the main parts of the digestive system. These are what I would call your typical flashcards, just giving very, very basic information. Same thing. And I've made these, I've labeled them for, the student, and I've pointed them to the correct locations. All right, same thing with the brain, right? This is your brain basics, right? Basic structure and function, major parts of the brain. Same kind of thing. Flip it over. This is a little more in depth. It's not just naming it. I also write this is the cerebrum and this is what it does, and here's cerebellum and what it does. It's just a little bit of a step further. Then let's go to classwork. Okay, here's an example where we're asking some different questions, and the way this flashcard was created was with the draw tool, right? This is asking, like, what do these lines represent, and what are these and why are they important? So I used the draw tool to make this and then labeled them. Actually, no, I didn't label them. I asked a question. So this is more, right? You've done some work as an instructor, and the students have done some work learning, and now they're here trying to reinforce that idea. So they're supposed to, the way this thing is supposed to work, just to give you an idea, is I want to edit my flashcard. In general, go over this as well. And I can say these lines represent, quadrants, right? Type that in here. And they're important because, some clinical reason you would type in here, right? A patient presents with pain in this quadrant, we know it might be your gallbladder, something like that. And then what you'd expect the student to do is go in here and double tap these things and edit them, right? I do not know my quadrants, but one of these is like, epigastric or something like that. They would type that in here. And then at the end, you could save the flashcard and have a filled in version. So this is more like an activity. So I'm not gonna save this though. Right, so these are classwork activities. This one I'm going to get a little bit more into. This sort of combines a lot of different features in the app. Right, flip to the back and use the draw tool to demonstrate how blood moves through the heart. So we're expecting them to draw here and demonstrate their knowledge. Right, we're telling them to use red and blue arrows, and then explore in 3D if you need some help. So blood flow is something I know, so I could do this, but I want to show you, if I got here and maybe I wasn't paying attention, or maybe I just have no idea, right? I get in here and I follow the instructions, and it's telling me to draw something. So I go in here and I hit draw, and I find my arrow tool, and it's a red arrow. And I'm like, oh wait, let me start with blue, because usually I remember, if I know maybe that, oh, blood comes in like this, I know that much, and then it must come through here. But then maybe I don't know the rest, right? Explore in 3D, this is button up here, and this is sort of, I've been alluding to this whole time. You can go in here and sort of leave your flashcard for a second and look around. So you can click on stuff and get all this information. And you notice as soon as I click something, this box appears, right? And right here, if I pick one of these, this animation, I believe, is teaching about blood flow of the heart.
The 4 heart valves control the flow of blood through the heart by opening and closing the heart chambers.
So I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing, but you can see the student can go in here and get this extra information without getting it from a professor, without getting it from a book. They can go in here and learn this information. And then you hit this return a flashcard button, and you're brought right back to where you were, right? So maybe I learned something, right? And I'm back, and I say, okay, well, it goes out here, and then it goes out here. Then I turn it red, it comes back. Oh, that's not red. Turn it red, comes back in. Let's see if I know this. Well, this way, and then this way. And then you'd expect the student to save this and turn it in. Okay. So again, I'm not going to save that, but that's an example of how to use a drawing. All right, that was classwork. Okay, lobes of the brain. This is another one that uses the draw tool a little bit. This is learning about the cerebrum, and it's giving you instructions here. Flip to the back and label the lobes of the cerebrum. Use the draw tool to create boundaries. For the first lobe has been done for you. Explore in 3D if you need help. Same thing. So I'm going to flip this, and you can see I did the first one already. I labeled frontal lobe, and I used the draw tool to define an area. Right. So I'm going to pretend that I'm a student here. Again, I might not be great at this one, but I'm going to go into my draw tool and say, okay, well, what do I know here? And I'm just going to pick any old color. It doesn't really matter the color we pick here. I'm going to say, okay, well, I think I know this one. And I'm going to draw a circle or an oval. Right, that's what we're expecting to do. And then they are going to go down here and add a label. Right, I'm going to point to it. And I'm going to go in here and write purple label and save that. Again, so what you're expecting back is someone to draw some lines on here, defining boundaries, and add some labels. Right, and they would save it and give it back to you. All right, classwork. Okay, this one's pretty cool. This is a muscle action. So our flashcards, I mentioned that they're sort of a 2D overlay over a 3D view, right? So this can be playing. This can be a moving flashcard. I always think about Harry Potter, and I don't know if everyone's seen Harry Potter, but there's every newspaper in Harry Potter has just some kind of, looks like a video playing of somebody. It's sort of this weird, 2D, 3D kind of thing. And that's what we have here. We have a moving model. And just asking questions, right? What action is being performed, and can you name the antagonist muscles? So, right, this one is neck extension. I think this one I actually filled out. Yeah, neck extension, and labels the muscles here. You could have these not filled in and ask the student to do it. I just wanted to make sure I had something that had something filled in here. And then, same thing. I think maybe it's obvious, maybe it's not, but you can explore this in 3D and sort of, scrub around in here and see what's happening. And this little info button will sort of give you the answers and tell you what's going on. And then I would hit, so I'm going to move my controls here. I would hit my return to flashcard, and I'm back again. All right. This one's cool too. This is sometimes in Atlas or in any of our apps, if you want to get information about it, it has to be an actual object. You have to be able to click on it. So skull sutures are something we've heard about before. People say, how come I can't get information on a skull suture? And the reason is because it's really a space between two other things. So in our regular app, you can't really select anything called a suture. And you know it's there, but you can't select it. So this is giving them some instruction and defining these sutures for them with different colors, right? And then even asking about these areas where they connect. So again, it's using the draw tool to sort of ask some questions and then have them fill it in and give it back, right? All right, classwork, homework. Let's do a post. Let's skip the post lab, I think. This is where things get a little bit more fun, a little bit more like activities. Right? This is understanding sight. And in this case, the instructions are on the back, and it's telling you to explore in 3D if you need help. The reason explore in 3D there is because it's the same thing as the heart one. There's a video right here that it will explain how sight works if you need that help. I'm going to flip this over. And this is asking the user to put numbers here and put them in order. Right? So if I'm a user, if I'm a student, what I'm supposed to do is go in here and say, okay, well, the first thing it hits is the cornea, right? And then put a 1 here, and then, drag this in order, or maybe I'm smart and I put it in order first. That's what we're asking users to do, sort of number it and put it in order. Right. Next up, post-lab skull bones. Okay. Right, memorize the bones of the skull, explore in 3D. Right, so this is giving them a little bit, I think, Jen, you might have this in yours too. This is giving them a little bit of a treasure hunt to explore this in 3D and locate the sphenoid and ethmoid bones, right? Notice how it fits together and protects the brain, allows for passage. Right, this is reinforcing the topic here. So I'm going to explore it in 3D, and you'll see that this view is that view I started with on the very first screen, the intro. So users can go in here and click these bones and learn them, right? We just click through here, temporal, parietal. But then they can go in, and in this case, they can open this thing up, and we're asking them to look at these inner bones, right? We're asking them to look at the ethmoid, and we're asking them to look at the sphenoid and learn more about them, right? And then come back here and make sure they've, reinforced that they've learned them. In this case, I've labeled them for the user. All right, how are we doing on time? 20 minutes in? I think we're okay. This is another one where this is more like a regular flashcard. It has a little bit of a drawing on it to represent the lesser and greater curvature. But this is sort of just a reinforcer, this is studying, right? I learned this stuff. Let me make sure I know what number 6 is, and click back and forth, right? This is more like a typical flashcard. This one is sort of like the pre-lab, but it's a step further. In this case, we're asking about the vertebral column. We have some drawings here. These are just using the line tool on the drawing, the line tool from the drawing palette, and just sort of delineating, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, and sacral spines. Again, using that highlighting of the structures themselves and asking which one's in blue. And then, I always like when there was a bonus on the question, so I put some bonuses in here, right? How many vertebrae are in total? How many in each region? And in this case, I did the work for them as well in the back, right? 7 cervical, 12 thoracic. You could, ask users to fill us out as well. But you can see this is just like a step further from that axial appendicular skeleton, a facial, and then a sort of brain case skull that we had. This one's cool. Remember, like the very first thing you learn when you learn anatomy is ways to talk about things. Like what direction is it in, right? So some people call it terms of relationship. In this case, what I did was I drew arrows in different colors and then labeled them on the back. So, it's just sort of a cool way to teach this, I think. Flip it over and I named them for them here. This is another self-test, just incorporating the drawing a little bit more. All right, and then we've just got a couple of homework ones left. These are more involved. Right, here's a tough one. I dissected apart the heart. I left a couple valves in so people can get an orientation of where they were. And they're asking them to label the parts, describe what they do, and draw and label an ECG on the back. So as a student, I'd be nervous about this one. Right? So describe what you label it and describe it. So we're expecting them to use go in here, use the label tool. Right? I know this guy. At least I think I do. Right? Now I say node, and then this does X, Y, Z. Right? That's what we're expecting to do. And then my bonus is draw an ECG here. So you can see me accidentally sort of zooming in at some points in time, but I'm going to stay zoomed in a little bit so I can draw a little better. And I'm going to delete this. And then what you're asking them to do is, go in here and just sort of represent, what an ECG would be. I'm not good at this one either, but maybe something like that. And then, they could go in here and sort of label, these might be totally wrong, but something like that, and submit this to you. And so this requires more brain power. And again, at any point in time, if I have no idea what I'm doing, I can go in here and say, all right, let me check. All right, good, that was the SA node. What does that thing do? Okay, here it is. All right, so the student can help themselves in this case. And these flashcards aren't meant to be like cheat proof. I mean, they're really low stakes. They're just helping students learn, helping engage them. Right? They're not for grades or anything like that. You really just want the student to learn the information. All right, I think we got a few left here. Yeah, this is another one that would be a nightmare to me as well. This is a matching game, right? We're asking them, I took all the ventricles off of here, and we're asking them to identify some of these things. And this is really just matching, right? And then here's one of my famous bonuses as well, right? Which one's known as the Widowmaker due to its high mortality rate. So I think, what we want people to do here is grab, so you got to edit first. And sort of just use this as a matching, right? And students can move these too. I'm not sure after this point, but they can move them wherever they want, and we're expecting them to submit this back to you, right? And then use the draw tool to indicate which vessel. And I would say that Yeah, here we are. It's this guy right here. All right, I think there might be 1 or 2 left. 2 more homeworks. All right. Innervation of the hand. I remember learning this one as well. I thought it was kind of interesting that half of one finger is innervated by one thing and half by another. These are drawings you'll see all over the internet if you look up innervation of the hand, or asking them to name the nerves and then indicate with the draw tool sort of the coverage of each one. So what we're expecting out of here, and I think most of you will recognize this, but I think we're expecting someone to go in here and say, again, this will probably be wrong, but say, this part of the hand is, ulnar nerve from, I'm guessing again, this part, I'd probably use a different color and say, this part, this one's another one, and then, here's your last one. And then I didn't talk at all about the text tool, but you can use the label tool will have a leader line on it that you can point to stuff. Or you could just use the piece of text, which, put that up here and I could write something like in there and then, put that there. And you can, if I wanted to, be clever about it, I could make this one green to indicate that, this green one goes with the green. But just another way to use the draw tool and to assign the activity. All right, I think there's one left. Where am I? Ah, yes, synovial joints. Flip to the back and match. This one, this one to me is not nearly as hard as the other ones, but what we did was we filled them out and we're asking users to, once again, use this like a matching game. Right? I don't think you need to watch me do this, but there's some that are easy and some that are harder, but something like this, and then the user saves it and returns it to you. All right, so I think I went through all the flashcards, and hopefully what I'm hoping that you got out of that was that a flashcard is much, much more than just a piece of paper with writing on the front, writing on the back that you memorize. It can be an activity. It can reinforce topics. It can introduce topics. It could be used sort of almost like a quiz as well. All right, and then with that, I think I'm passing it back to Jen, right?
Yeah, before we hand things over to Jen, I've been answering some questions in the chat, but does anybody have any pressing questions? So not an independent, Lisa asked whether or not flashcards, would give the answer after they, finish the matching activity. So.
No, you don't. The flashcards are more of a learning activity. You saw some of them. I filled them out, ahead of time for the student. Other times I asked them to fill them out. There's also, I didn't go over it, but there was an auto label option in there for the labels where if you turn that on and move the dot on a lead line over something, it will tell you what it's over. So it can help you out as well. But there's no way to, without someone looking at it, there's no way for you to know if it's really right or wrong. This is more of a self-study kind of thing.
And can you turn off the auto label? Yes.
Yes, you can. As soon as you turn the auto label on, you'll see a pop-up and it'll tell you this will be turned on. You can turn it off in the settings. So there's a big gear in the bottom right of the app in most cases, and you hit that, and I can't remember what we call it, but it says something like auto-populate labels or something like that. You would just turn that off.
And Nina has a question about assigning them to create a deck of cards and submitting them, which I think Jen is going to cover. So I won't spoil you for that. All right, so with that, I think we can hand things over to Jen.
All right, thank you very much. And just have to say how clean and crisp and professional those cards look. The creativity is just wonderful. And that has a lot more to do with Chris than you would think. So just wanted to say that. And he gave me some great materials to work with. in terms of showing you instructional methods and approaches you can take when using these flashcards. So I'm going to share my screen. And some or maybe all of you have at least an understanding of what courseware is, and you may use it yourself. It's our teaching and learning platform that allows you to take great content like these flashcards and turn them into lessons or parts of lessons. And to that point, what I think that Chris did a really nice job of explaining is that for any stage of your lesson planning, you can really use flashcards in any number of ways. Many of the ones he showed you, you could use for all stages, and some are more specific to others, and I'll get into that in a minute. So what I've done is I've created a course here in courseware. I called it Flashcard Lab Activities, and these are the folders that are contained in my course. And each folder has a variety of assignments, kind of in the same format as if this were a lab course. And we sort of followed that pre-lab, lab, and then post-lab or homework or, post summative assessment style. So you can see that that's kind of how these are all planned out. But instead of going through each lesson step by step, what I hoped to do was to kind of talk about these cards in terms of the categories that would work beautifully with the type of assignments that we're looking for. So, for example, that pre-lab type assignment that Chris was talking about, that engagement step that's in that classical lesson planning that we all learned in teacher school, you really want to capture attention and also trigger student background knowledge. So it kind of gets the juices flowing, so they're ready to learn more. And you're also teaching foundational information in this step. You're teaching the very basics and prepping for any future lab activities that are about to happen. So, for example, if we look in this brain folder, what I've done is after, this is my lesson plan as the instructor, but for background and engagement and triggering knowledge and starting to kind of set that foundation, this assignment is designed to do that. So this gives you in here all the information, all the nuts and bolts of when it's due and where the source is. And the source is, in my case, from a professor. And I can show you in a little bit how I actually created this assignment. But for now, I just want to show you how it would work. So when you're in this view, and I can put it into this student preview, a student would see this. They would see this description where they're told explicitly, open Human Anatomy Atlas, right? And that is done because I created a link here directly to Human Anatomy Atlas. So when they select it, it will launch, it will load, and then they follow the following instructions. I've given them a link to a flashcard, one of Chris's awesome flashcards, because with assigning flashcards, if you're doing an individual flashcard for now, this is the way to assign it. Otherwise, you can assign it directly from our content sources, and we'll walk through the actual steps of making an assignment later. But what I've done is I've shared the link to the specific particular flashcard that I'd like to show, or I'd like them to work with. So as a student, I'm copying this. I'm going to open the flashcard and select Save Flashcard at the bottom right corner. Learn the areas of the brain indicated. And then we can kind of go back to this lesson and talk more about what the next steps are. One thing to keep in mind is if you're teaching this way is to make sure that students know to keep Human Anatomy Atlas open once it's launched. because you do need to navigate a little bit between each tab, because this is going to tell them what to do next in courseware. So here I am in Human Anatomy Atlas. I've copied that link, and you can see the share link icon. You'll find this either here or in the top right corner of any Human Anatomy Atlas page or view. So here I'm going to paste the link, and this will become very natural and automatic workflow for students. And lo and behold, here I have the vertebral column and the fact that it's sorted into 4 regions. So the skeletal bone groups that I'd like them to learn are here. And again, the assignment says, open it and save it. That's a very important step. The reason why you want students to save it is to have the full functionality that it requires. So for example, if I select Save Flashcard, I will have capabilities that right now I don't have. So for example, I don't have this 3-dot menu that allows me to do many, many things. And I don't have this Explore in 3D function that Chris had mentioned before, where you can go deeper into a view and learn more about it using the content box or going into related content and so forth. So as a student, I'm going to be wanting to save it. And I could add this to an existing deck, but that's not really the purpose of this. So I'm just going to simply save. And it's been added to my account. But from here, now I know that I can explore in 3D to my heart's content, and I can use this 3-dot menu, in which you have this edit flashcard function. So when you're in edit mode, you're able to make changes, obviously. And now you have this toolbar here where you can add labels, draw, add text, and save your flashcard. And you can also edit parts of your flashcard. So now that I have it saved in the bottom right-hand corner, I can learn the areas of the brain. I'm being asked to work with a lab partner to create a deck of cards from this pre-made card, showing all the major regions of the brain. And then I'm being asked to share the deck of cards with each other and to me, the instructor, by selecting Share Flashcard Deck from the 3-dot menu in your Flashcard Decks tab in Human Anatomy Atlas. And then from there, that link that is created from this new custom deck will be sent to the instructor, and the instructor will populate it in Human Anatomy Atlas. So let's see what that would look like. So if I start here, and I wanted to, the next part is learning the sections that are indicated, which is fine. You know, you can absolutely, you know, use it like a flashcard and flip it to the back and learn. But what if I wanted to add to this? So my next step would be flip to front to save this flashcard again. And I can add it to an existing deck. So let's just say I've already started a deck in my collection. I can add this to a deck that I've created. Now what it's doing is offering me all the decks that are in my collection, and I'll show you where that is later on. So if I want to decide to say, okay, I'm going to have this in my structures deck, which is the deck that I'm going to submit for grading, or to just say that I've actually done it, it says your flashcard deck has been updated. So if I go back out to my 4-dot menu, actually, my 4-square menu, and go to flashcard decks, in structures, I will find, once I start the flashcards, I will find the particular card that I just made. Right now, I'm just skipping through the cards. These function just like any other flashcard in case you haven't ever used these before. where you test yourself on your knowledge. So for example, if I click here, there's the heart, diaphragmatic surface. If I think I knew that, then I will give myself a thumbs up. And likewise, if I need to give myself a thumbs down if I didn't get it right. So there it is. It's here. And now I can test myself on it and all of the other structures on my flashcard deck. But if I don't want to add it to this particular deck and I want to start over and make a brand new deck, oops, I can do that. I can create a brand new deck. And here I can search for cards to add. So I can add this card and then any other ones I feel like would work. So once I'm done creating cards, you can create a deck and submit it for your work. You can add more flashcards here. You get a preview. So going back out to our lesson, once I share it, I've completed the activity. So that's one style of pre-lab type assignment. I'll show you another one. Let's see, I think probably, let's see, skeleton bone groups is a good one too. And again, this is the pre-lab or the engagement phase. So here I've gone a little more in depth in this assignment. And again, as the student, this is what I see. I'm being asked to open Human Anatomy Atlas and copy the link below, just like before. We'll read a few more of the instructions just for the moment. Open the flashcard and select Save Flashcard. And from the three-dot menu at the top right, you select Edit Flashcard. And then you answer questions on the front and check on the back. So let's just go ahead and throw this in there. Remember, I'm finding my share link down here, and I'm pasting my link. And voila, there's my card. The bones of the skeleton can be sorted into two main groups. Can you name these groups and which group is shown in blue? All right, so the instruction says I need to go to edit flashcards. So I'm going to go do that, but I have to save my flashcard first. There, now I have my three-dot menu and I can edit my flashcard. Flip to back if I need to. Answer the questions in the front of the card and check your answers on the back. Okay, I'll do that. Can you name these groups? I think I can. And then what I could do is go ahead and add a label, or actually not a label. I think what I'm going to do is add some text. And type in my answer. Let's see. I think that goes here. And then I've got another one that I can answer. And include it here. Okay. So let's see how I did. Okay, I did all right. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to save this flashcard, give it a new name. I call it easy. See if I can find it later. I'm going to say okay. Now I've done that first part. Now I need to flip a coin. If it lands on heads, I get to join the axial skeleton group and use all the content sources available to me. So that would be Visible Body Anatomy and Physiology, Human Anatomy Atlas, or any other VB app. If it lands on tails, I can join the appendicular skeletal group, and use content sources available to you, etc. And then create a flashcard deck, share with each other within the group. And then I know that Chris had mentioned an idea too of what you can do is you can take those two parts and create one big flashcard deck, right? So if I were in my collection of flashcard decks, I believe it's here, combined decks, right? They have the power to do that. So now I've got these two, and I can go ahead and add more decks if I want, save it, name it. Right, I can share the deck, so I can get my link to the deck from here, copy that link, and send that off to my classmates or to my instructor. So that's another way to go. How are we doing so far?
I think we're doing well. Nina has a couple of questions for you and has asked that you actually get in touch with her after the webinar via email, which I will give you her email so you can touch base.
I would love to. Next, let's look at classwork or lecture work. So if we look at the abdomen, so let's go to digestive system. I made here a classwork lab flashcard activity. So again, this is for teaching the concepts, extending the knowledge that they have from that foundational pre-lab stuff, and really taking advantage of the Explore in 3D feature. So again, similar type of assignment that I am looking at as a student. This again is the link to Human Anatomy Atlas, so I know that I can import this link, or I can paste this link where I need to put it. This time it's asking me to save the card to the account, select the three-dot menu and edit. Meet with your lab group and answer parts 1 through 3 on the flashcard in the front by filling in the labels on the back of the card. And when your work is complete, you select Save Flashcard and share the completed flashcard with each other. Then you share your newly labeled flashcard link with me using the dot menu, share flashcard, and copy link. So let's have a look at Chris's card. Again, I'm finding my share link, I'm pasting as a student. And here we have this awesome abdominal view where the lines represent something. So now, again, I need to go in, save my flashcard. That gives me the ability to edit. What do these lines represent? Why are they important? Well, I can go ahead and just double click in there and give my answer. My insightful answer right there. And then it says flip to the back and fill in. Whenever I flip to the back, I always do that. Sorry, flip to the back. And again, what Chris actually asked us to do before was to go in here and make a real answer of this. After that, I can fill in my regions or fill in these structures as requested, save the flashcard. I'm going to save it as a new flashcard. You can assign a difficulty if you want. You can add search terms if you want. But what I'm really focusing on is turning this in. All right. So my new flashcard I can now share with my instructor and my other students. Again, you can see that there's just a lot of flexibility when it comes to what cards you can use for what part of the lesson. The skull sutures one is great too. That one I also made into a classwork card. Again, they take the link, they save it. I'm gonna just so you can see it again. From the 3-dot menu, you edit, flip the card, and you answer all the questions on the front of the card. Use Explore in 3D mode or Explore Anatomy and Physiology app to find the answers, because sometimes, like Chris was saying, there really is no definition of a space between structures, right? Necessarily. So you might need to do some more reading, some more heavy duty reading than you would normally do when you're in Atlas. Oh, that didn't go to the right structure, did it? No, it didn't. That was supposed to be the skull sutures one. The cool one where you put the outlines in different colors. I apologize. That link was wrong. Another one is let's see. I guess we'll just move on to post-lab type assignments, because again, now you're getting into that formative assessment, you're reinforcing concepts. Let's go to let's see, you could also do the skull bones is a nice sort of post-lab activity here. So very similar to the others. I'm copying and pasting. This is the one with the sphenoid and ethmoid bones that you're supposed to be looking for. And like Chris, I like bonus points too. So let's just kind of have a look at what we're working with here.
Jen, while you pull that up, I just wanted to be cognizant of time. We have about 9 minutes left.
Okay.
So yeah, just in case anybody has any questions for you and wants to discuss out loud.
Okay, well, while I'm doing this, I can certainly field any question that comes about.
Yeah, so if anybody has any questions for Jen or for Chris, feel free to use the raise hand feature in Zoom, and I will be able to unmute your microphone.
So the instructions say to explore in 3D specifically and locate the sphenoid and ethmoid bones. So let's go do that. That's real fun. Here we are. And this looks like I'm going to have to do some side dissecting. So I'm going to do that. I'm repositioning and zooming in and all that great stuff that you can always do in any of the views that you have. Let's see. Keep going. How am I doing so far? All right. Oh, looks like I got it. Here's a sphenoid. Now I'm going to refresh the view and start over again and look for that ethmoid bone. Maybe I'll hide instead. Let's see, let's give that a shot. Occipital, temporal. All right, Chris, you might have to help me out here. I don't know where that one is.
I think what I do is grab that scrubber and drag it to the right above the hide button, and then it's going to be, it'll explode the skull for you, right? Hit the play button, and then you can, right behind your nose. Yep. Keep going.
Here?
Hit the play button. You'll see the skull will explode, and then you'll be able to see.
Oh, the exploding skull. Okay.
Yeah, that's what you're in. So it's that one up front there, the bird's head, it looks like.
Yeah. Okay, this one here.
Yeah, there's a question about turning in a flashcard for a grade. You have to manually put in a grade book. Yeah, so flashcards do not currently report at all to the grade book. They're not considered quizzes. They're considered sort of self-assessment at this point.
Exactly. So it's more about creativity and coming up with ways to use it for instruction, even though it's not directly connected to a grade per se. It's for manual grading for the most part, or for just simply for reinforcement, as Chris was saying. And then homework options. Conduction system, let's see, coronary vessels identification, that's a cool one. Same thing. This time, you're matching leader lines, like he showed you before. Right, so as a student, I know I have to save. And I have to edit. I need to flip because the instructions told me to. And now I need to move my leader lines. Once I'm done, I can save as a new card. And then get my link. To share. So those are just some ideas for all types of assessments and assignments. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask now, or I also have part of my role is conducting training one-on-one or in groups. So if you have, I think that my Calendly link I can certainly put into the chat if that would be a good idea. And then anyone who would like to book a training with me, they certainly can.
Yep, so you can pop that into the chat, but I will also be including Jen's Calendly link in tomorrow's follow-up email.
And then we mentioned we had some parting gifts. I think we have all of the flashcards that were shown in my account that we can give to people, right?
Yes, we are going to be giving all of the flashcards that have all of these great activity ideas away in tomorrow's follow-up email as well. So be on the lookout for that. That email is going to be chock full of so many goodies. You guys are going to think you robbed the place. So
I think it doesn't seem like we have any questions, but I think I have one thing I can add about sharing flashcards. As soon as you hit the share button and share something, that's no longer the flashcard you have. It's something different. So, for example, if Courtney's going to give you the page of these share links to the flashcards I have, but at the point in time when I made those links, they became something else. So I can go in my account and change those up, and it won't affect the links you guys have. So every time you hit share link, it's going to create a new copy, and then when a user saves it, it saves it to their account as their own. And then when they hit a share link, it makes another new copy. So it's just important to know that what you're sharing at the point in time when you share it won't be changed as a flashcard when you give it to somebody else, if you change it in your account yourself after the fact. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense.
Also, I didn't get to the point of showing you in courseware how to make a new assignment using the technique that I did. So anyone who would like training and sure in the goodies, you'll get links to articles that will show you how to do that.
Yes, I'll be linking to some articles on our support site that will teach you how to make a flashcard if you're not sure. And also how to make an assignment using flashcards.
Yeah, and the way that Jen was sharing it, there are a couple different ways to share. You can share from within the flashcard itself using that three-dot menu in the top like Jen was doing, and then you can also share from the menu. When you're looking at that little thumbnail, you can click the three dots there and share it there as well. And I've got one more good piece of information too. When you save something, a little blue banner slides on and says like, you've saved this. If you click that banner, or the little warning, it'll take you to the menu too. If you're unsure where that thing might have gone. If the banner's still up, quick enough, you can click it and go.